Go ahead and... What are we gonna do? Probably Jeremy. We'll do Jeremy's bullshit. Ugh. Okay, so Jeremy, the quartering, is, I guess, one of Brie Larson's biggest stalkers, and I guess I'm one of Jeremy's. So, Jeremy has a new video on Brie Larson. You know what that means. I have to obsessively critique him and his basement pee. So let's take a look at the Quartering's newest video. Brie Larson broke my heart forever. Captain Marvel 2 news.
Brie, say it isn't so. My dream of us being together has now been shattered because who somebody enjoys spending their special time with is a big deal on Twitter. It's super important that everybody knows who everybody else is sleeping with. That's like,
How do you think Jeremy's wife, I think Jeremy's been married for like 12 years or something. How do you think his wife feels about the fact that he obsessively posts about Brie Larson every week? Do you think she bought him a body pillow? Does he need to cuddle the body pillow for like at least, 10 minutes before they get intimate? Otherwise, stuff isn't working the way it should. I don't know. Just wondering.
like the number one most important thing to people on Twitter. And apparently we've got some spicy news about Captain Marvel now. I wonder if new director Nia Costa will be writing this into the script. Now, interestingly, before I get to that, Brie Larson has been making the rounds again, the press tour, the past couple of days, over a couple of statements she's made now in support of Nia DaCosta, who is directing Captain Marvel 2. Nia DaCosta, who's earned nothing in Hollywood as far as I'm concerned, who has done one movie.
Again, this is not unconventional for Marvel's current business plan. James Gunn, similarly, did very small films and one medium film, and then Disney picked him up. This is Disney's strategy now, is find technically competent directors who don't have clout in Hollywood because they're new to the industry, at least relatively new, so they can push them around and make sure they do, standard Marvel movie. And I like the Marvel movies a lot, but that's what they're doing. They're getting directors that are technically competent, but who don't have the clout to push them around, and they get to make all the decisions. He only mentions this in regard to her, though. He tends to ignore the fact that there are many other directors who are similar. Taika Waititi, James Gunn, other directors. You know what I mean? Disney's been doing this for a while. But of course, in this case, it happens to be a woman, and Jeremy can't handle that.
Who was hired before that movie was ever even completed. She did Candyman, which I'm sure will be awful. I
haven't seen the movie, but I'm sure it will be awful for reasons.
There's one other film, I think, on her credit list. But she was handed Captain Marvel 2. Why does Disney keep hiring these nobody directors?
Let's see. Again, the last two they did this with were Taika Waititi, who made Thor Ragnarok, which is the best Thor movie and also the most successful Thor movie. And then the other one was James Gunn, who made Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, which are the best movies in the MCU, which also are some of the most popular ones. Gee, why does Disney keep going forward with this successful business decision? He's such an idiot.
Well, it's because they know they'll just do what they say.
Yeah. Yep. And that's probably not great. Again, I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer when directors and stuff have creative freedom, but clearly whatever Marvel's doing is working out for them financially. So I can't really say I don't understand why they're doing it, even if creatively I don't necessarily agree with the mandate. It's working out for them financially, and Disney is a huge company, and that's what they want to do, is make money. So
they bring in directors that are relatively unknown, and they say, here's how it goes. You follow the formula. This is a Marvel movie. There will be no real stakes. Nobody dies. There'll be a lot of boom booms and a lot of CGI. But you know what?
People have died in the Marvel movies. They might come back at some point, but that's the same for the comics, too. Comic book characters die and come back all the time. There used to be a saying in comic books, for a really long time, and it was nobody stays dead except for Uncle Ben and Bucky. And then Bucky came back from the dead and became the Winter Soldier. So, comic books bring back people back from the dead like all the time.
You get to put this on your resume.
If you want high stakes, like world-changing stuff that's going to change the status quo permanently, don't get into comic books, okay? They'll do status quo changing events, and then those will get reset within the next 5 years back to the status quo, right?
But you don't get to actually do anything. Like, regardless of the director change here, I don't think you're going to see much of a change in the Captain Marvel film, in the formula that Marvel has. Now, with DC...
Probably not. It's been... Kitty, you gotta not get in front of the microphone, because then it blocks me. Yeah, they've been very successful so far. I don't know how the movies going forward are going to fare, because not only are we dealing with COVID restrictions and COVID fears, and even after things go back to normal-ish because of vaccines getting spread out to the populace, I would imagine people, even myself, even after I get the vaccine, I'm probably not going out to theaters anytime soon. And I love the Marvel movies. I think the only Marvel movie I missed in theaters over the past 10 years has been Ant-Man and the Wasp, just because I wasn't super into it. I've seen it since then, but I didn't go to the theater for it. Either way, it's after Endgame now, and I don't know how many people give a shit. But, like, they've been successful. They're the most profitable franchise in the history of film, so...
See? We did see a big change. We saw Patty Jenkins also had success with Wonder Woman. But she was also a part of a team there. Then when she took more creative roles, more roles in the creative scheme, Wonder Woman 84 happened, and it's quite bad. Now, Brie Larson will be working with a new director for Captain Marvel 2 in Nia DaCosta. I thought that's interesting. I wonder if we'll ever really know why they left. I mean, everyone said Captain Marvel was just a massive success. Why fire the director?
It was a financial success. Creatively, it was a pretty safe milquetoast Marvel movie. I enjoy Captain Marvel for what it is, but it's not the one that I go to if I'm like, I want to watch a Marvel movie. I'd probably watch one of the Iron Man movies, or one of the Avengers movies, or Doctor Strange that's, like, visually interesting. Captain Marvel is fine, and I like Brie Larson fine in the role. But it's a pretty safe movie. But when people say it was successful, usually they're talking about financially, because it was the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. Usually when people say Captain Marvel is successful, including people like me, what we're saying is Jeremy's prediction of get woke, go broke was incredibly stupid and made him look like an idiot, which is always fun to point out.
And she has high praise for the Candyman Helmer, a movie nobody's seen. Larson appeared on A Little Late with Lily Singh. No wonder I didn't hear about it. And over the course of the conversation, talked about working with DaCosta for the film, and which is currently in development, and we'll see Larson reprise her role as Carol Danvers alongside Iman Vellani as Kamal Khan and Teyana Paris as Monica Rambeau. It's amazing, Larson said, of working with DaCosta. I'm so excited that it's announced, and now I can talk about that. Nia's amazing, and she got the job because she was the best person for the job.
A version
it's
of Nuke?
Interesting that Brie Larson said that out loud.
The guy who took the different pills in Jessica Jones was Nuke from the comics.
It's almost like she knows she didn't deserve the job. Imagine being handed a $1 billion franchise movie. And what many insiders of Disney and Marvel have said, the most important character in the MCU, Captain Marvel, after doing one movie that nobody's seen. This is my favorite part about this. She just gave an incredible presentation. I'm inspired by her. She has confidence. It's a big deal to step into this thing we know as the Marvel Universe. It's a huge thing to have a leader who's just like, yeah, I'm meant to be here. Well, how did that work out for Birds of Prey? That movie was...
He always does these equivalencies between, like, Birds of Prey and Captain Marvel, as if Birds of Prey wasn't connected to the DCEU, an incredibly unsuccessful and disliked movie universe. It was also directly related to, like, one of the worst DCEU movies, and the bar was already so low. Suicide Squad, and then Birds of Prey was okay. I enjoyed it for what it was. But yeah, it had a lot of baggage, and people didn't give a shit because it was attached to Suicide Squad. I don't know if Captain Marvel 2 will make money. I really don't. But understand that Jeremy's criticism entirely comes from a place of the fact that he doesn't like Brie Larson because she's an open feminist who talks about, like, progressive things, and he doesn't like that. And it's really, really pathetic that he spends all his time, like, when he talks about her, trying to act like that's not the case. He's like, oh, I don't like it for this, and this reason. When really, if that was the reason, you'd say that in the review and maybe a couple times since then, but you wouldn't every time there's a Brie Larson thing trending, you wouldn't go on and be like, here's why I hate Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. It's just stupid.
It was awful. And Disney rewarded the poor directing with a Pirates of the Caribbean franchise film, which I'm sure will also be terrible. Now, it makes you wonder, can you...
The Pirates of the Caribbean movies haven't been good since the second one, so that's not the boldest prediction ever made.
Blame the director at this point? I don't know. I mean, if you bring in these nobodies who probably aren't going to push back against Disney in any meaningful way, it's not like you're bringing in Spielberg, and Spielberg's going to say, no, Disney.
Spielberg sucks now, too, so...
This is how I'm going to do it. You're bringing in nobodies. Why do you bring in nobodies? Especially nobodies that can check various boxes, in my opinion. Now, I, like many people, will be eagerly anticipating the release of Captain Marvel 2, and I hope Nia DaCosta proves me wrong. I sincerely do. I hope it's an excellent movie that is enjoyed by many. However, she's got no track record for it. Just because you haven't done something doesn't mean you can't do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can. Marvel announced that DaCosta, who directed the yet-to-be-released Candyman sequel, would be helming Carol's second outing at Disney Investor Day in 20...
Hold on, someone says, Thief of Hearts says, Jeremy has also attempted to do several live streams this month, all of which failed and got shuttered. He even wants to turn Midwestly into a morning podcast show since politics bore him now. I'm sure they bore him because Trump lost and he's a Trump supporter. I'm sure he's not bored, he's just depressed. And what do you mean his live streams got shuttered? What does that mean?
2020, DaCosta recently told the Wall Street Journal she was excited to be offered the film, but consider the magnitude of taking on another franchise film so quickly after the last one. Why? You're a director. Direct. Why? I don't get it. It was definitely an immediate yes, but I'd been mulling it over through the process. The consideration on my end was, I just did a movie that's bigger than me. Do I want to do one that's even bigger? They should all be bigger than you. But at the time, I'm a huge Marvel fan. Of course, everyone says that. And I have been since...
A lot of people... It's the biggest franchise in the world. Again, if you don't like Marvel movies, I completely understand. They're very cookie-cutter factory movie making. It's the fireworks factory. It's come and watch, sort of standard action comedy, snarky characters... great special effects, action scenes. I understand if you don't like that. That's perfectly valid. It's the McDonald's of the film industry. It's consistent films that are pretty consistently enjoyable for the whole family, but they don't have a ton to say usually. There's not really deep messaging in most of them. They're not, the most technically impressive films outside of their really good special effects. Like, that's fine. You don't have to like them. But acting like everyone who does like them is like a shill is stupid. Because it's the most profitable franchise of all time. People like the Marvel movies, whether you do or not. K Vinyl, thank you for gifting 5 Tier 1 subs to the community. Appreciate it.
Since I was a kid, and I've always wanted to direct a Marvel movie.
Yeah, popcorn movies. They make popcorn movies.
I don't think anybody grows up wanting to direct a Marvel movie. They're all the same. Directors don't have much input on these films. I mean, go back and look at the last 10 and tell me if they felt markedly different in any real way. And there's a dozen directors over that same period of time. But now, what is the most important thing about...
If you're asking me to look at the last 10 Marvel movies, let's take a look. Marvel movies. Ooh, botched that. Let's take a look at all the MCU movies and see if the last 10 feel any different for what it's worth. Just because he asked us to do so. Wikipedia will probably be the easier one to take a look at because it's all in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Doctor Strange had a very Marvel-y origin story feel. It did have some really cool special effects, and I like the visual design that took, oh god, why can't I remember his name? Famous comic book artist who did amazing things that they emulated in Doctor Strange. He did the New Gods. Why can't I remember his name? Whatever. That dude, Jack Kirby, thank you, took Jack Kirby's comic book visuals and stunningly brought them to life on the screen. So that's cool. But yes, the overall structure is very, very baseline Marvel origin story movie. You have someone who wouldn't typically be a hero, kind of an a-hole, has a life-changing event. This is the call to action. They go and they find a source of power. They're confronted with some sort of villain that wants to do something that's maybe reflective in some ways of the hero's own flaws in some way. The hero has to rise to the occasion and take on the villain. They do so in the third act. You know, it's standard Marvel stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, fun space adventure movie. I would argue that's quite a bit different than a lot of the other Marvel movies, but I think the Guardians of the Galaxy series tends to be different because it takes place in space. And plus, I just think, why can't I remember his name? James Gunn. I think James Gunn's a really talented director and writer, so those are quite a bit different. Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming's a fun Marvel movie, but I agree it falls into that category of, like, action, comedy stuff, but with the twist that it's, like, teenagers in high school, and I thought they sort of captured high school comedy stuff pretty well. Thor Ragnarok. Really cool space adventure featuring Thor. Again, of course, it's going to feature the same sort of, like, action comedy stuff, but they're part of the same movie series. I would expect that. Black Panther. Black Panther, I would say, was pretty different tonally. Not exactly. There's still comedy, but I'd argue it more had really cool visual design and stuff. Avengers Infinity War, it was an Avengers movie. An enjoyable Avengers movie, but an Avengers movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I wasn't that into it. I don't really like... The Ant-Man movies are okay. I don't hate them. Like, if someone was like, you want to watch Ant-Man? I'd be like, okay, fine. But, you know, it's whatever. Captain Marvel, again, this is probably the one that, even though I like Captain Marvel and I like Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, I would agree. It's pretty standard. At least in the same way that Doctor Strange very much follows that, like, template of Marvel movies. But Captain Marvel doesn't have that interesting visual design, you know, taken from, like, Jack Kirby comics on screen. So it can run a little flat, but I enjoy the Nick Fury stuff. I enjoy Captain Marvel and all that stuff, but, you know, yeah, I get it if you're bored by it. Avengers Endgame, I enjoyed. It's a pretty big fan wank, but I enjoy that kind of thing. And then Spider-Man Far From Home was more of the teenage comedy stuff. So even though they do have sort of the same tone running throughout the movies, there are differences, but yeah, they're part of the same series. You're going to expect them to be somewhat similar, and if you don't like that, perfectly understandable, and that's valid. But there's a reason people like it. Like I said, it's the McDonald's of popcorn movies. You don't go to McDonald's because they serve the best cheeseburger in the world. You go to McDonald's because it's the same cheeseburger every single time, you know? You know what you're getting. It's cheap, it gets you what you need.
Anybody, according to Twitter, well, it's who you sleep with. And Brie Larson did a wholesome video on her YouTube channel about just taking a quiz about herself. I mean, it's wholesome content. Good for you, Brie, for not abandoning your YouTube channel after all the initial shine wore off. And in that video, there was like a throwaway moment where she was asked, you know, the question was something like, what would you be doing if you were 10 and in the library or what would you be doing at 10 at recess or something like that? And her answer was
Ditko. Did I say the other one? Did I say Jack Kirby? It's Steve Ditko, I think. Right? Hold on. I know he did the cool Spider-Man. This is my favorite Spider-Man design, by the way. I really, really like his Spider-Man. But yeah, he did Doctor Strange, too. Let me see if we can see some Doctor Strange stuff. Doctor Strange. Yeah, like this stuff. this is like sort of the kind of stuff that Doctor Strange dealt with in the alternate universe stuff, in that scene where he, gets sent to all the different planes of existence and sort of the mirror dimension stuff, the dark dimension. It's very cool. And I hope more of this comes in Doctor Strange too, because this is the stuff that I think is really cool about Doctor Strange, is the alternate dimensions, magical, crazy stuff. Anyway. By the way, if you were here from the raid, we don't normally talk about comic books this much if you're not into it. It's just when we talk about Jeremy, it comes up a lot, because he has opinions on comic book movies, but he doesn't appear to actually know anything about them.
In the library on the computer, Googling how to figure out how to know if I was gay, to which everyone immediately took as her coming out. And of course, that is the most important characteristic to Twitter. Captain Marvel star Brie Larson.
Why do you assume that because people find it interesting that that's their most important characteristic? If Brie Larson was, like, queer in some way, if she was, bi or lesbian or pan or something, that's fine. I don't really care, but people care about celebrity stuff. That doesn't make it their most important quality, Jeremy.
Has queer Twitter in a tizzy today after she posted a video of herself answering personal questions. YouTube channel One to Answer, she dropped a hint that she could be gay. Again, who cares? I don't understand this reaction. I'm not like, yes, another straight dude.
Yeah, it's because you already have tons and tons and tons of representation. 99% of characters from film and TV and history, main characters and actors, have been straight white dudes.
It's so weird to me. In a video, Larson filmed herself passing the time with internet quizzes to her 450,000 plus YouTube followers were quick to notice that one of her answers seemed to drop a pretty huge hint about how she identifies. Larson, whose real name is Brienne Desaulniers, Larson seems better, I see why you changed it, hasn't officially come out, however. Her representatives did not immediately return a request on comment. That feels carefully crafted, doesn't it? That feels carefully crafted. And if you look at a lot of these replies, hold on. Who's all these replies? Yeah, immediately internet watched this clip and many people pointed out this specific. In the clip, Brie was asked, "You're 10. How do you spend an hour of recess?" She answered, "Searching WikiHow on the library computer to how to know if you're gay." Now, I must point out that Brie Larson picked the option she was most likely to do, which means that it may not be her coming out, just her choosing the option that best suited herself.
Yeah, that would probably be it. It was probably just like a joke. Kids Google weird stuff, and maybe her sexuality is none of my business if she doesn't want to talk about it. I don't really care that much. Jeremy is the one who was making a video about this. And it's so weird when Jeremy's like, why do all these people care about Brie Larson? When Jeremy is like the #1 person who covers Brie Larson. It is so weird.
Again, this was her answering a pre-written question. Making yourself lose at your favorite game so someone will play with you, going absolutely feral over new developments in your playground role-playing universe, braiding your best friend's hair, or leading a team in ancient ritual in the woods. So she just picked one of a multiple choice. And of course, Twitter loses their mind. Now, if Brie is...
You're also losing your mind, but in the opposite direction. Do you see the irony, Jeremy?
Gay. Congratulations. Who cares? It's who you are. I mean, I support people being who they are. It's such a weird thing to just, like, be proud of. You just are that, and that's awesome. Good for you. But Twitter is just so weird. I'm dropping hints that I'm gay. Is she? She's just picking one of 10 answers. Twitter is like the lowest IQ weirdos on the planet.
Hold on. Does Jeremy have his Twitter account back? Twitter, the quartering. I'm blocked, but it appears he does in fact have his Twitter back. Twitter's full of, what did he say?
You know, Twitter is like she was just picking one of 10 answers. Twitter is like the lowest IQ weirdos on the planet.
Womp womp.
You know, her orientation has 0 to...
I don't even think it's deactivated anymore. I'm just blocked. It just said I was blocked. Hold on. I can go to an incognito tab. Actually, someone else go check out Jeremy's Twitter. Is it back? I'm blocked, so I can't see. But it looked like it was up.
Do with her ability to act or
I'm
to
just
play
blocked.
roles. And that goes
it's
both
back.
directions.
Thought so.
I don't care who my superheroes sleep with IRL. And in fact, I don't really care about who they sleep with in the actual superhero movies.
Did you miss
Brie
the
Larson
Ask
said,
Me
"I
Anything
respect the
video?
straight
I did a
community,
Q&A
but
a
it
while
ain't
back,
me."
yeah.
That's really not what she said. So they're just like claiming this. We find out Brie Larson is gay every single month, and it never gets...
Oh, sure. I just meant have it back as in, like, did he reactivate it? I should have spoken more clearly. I apologize.
It's old. What? What? Once again, I must reiterate, this isn't confirmation about Brie Larson. That being said, excuse me while I go dissect every Brie Larson interview on the internet. Okay, bye. Who cares? The internet is weird. Good. Be gay. I'm whatever. It's not news. Stop acting like it's something to be worshipped. It's weird. That's why people think that folks that react like this are in a cult, because this is how they react. I hope
Wanting people that you like to be part of the communities that you are also in. It's a cult.
you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again.
Also, Jeremy is a Trump supporter. So, you know. Glass houses.
And real soon.
Oh, Jeremy. Okay, that's Jeremy for the day. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's just that's our latest update on his obsession with Brie Larson, and our update on my obsession with his obsession with Brie Larson.